everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Your home, like an extension of your body, should be a sacred place. It should be your refuge, like a temple. I've had a few times in my life where I've wanted to avoid my home, and I can tell you that there's really no worse feeling than that. You need a place where you can rest your bones, a place where you can sink into solitude, a place that's a representation of you, and of course, a place that you feel confined and safe. This video is a continuation of my conversation on sensualism, the desire for those fine emotions, the need to sit, relax, and escape through details or get mildly drunk on your senses, what you feel, what you see. So when it comes to your home, I have laid out 4 categories here that I feel should be explored. They are light, sound, smell, and touch. So let's get to it. Also, I would like to apologize again. I just moved to a new place and the echo in here is pretty bad, but hopefully you guys can just ignore it. Candles, candles, candles. I have resorted to candles in so many situations. I've moved a lot, so to make my space feel more at home, to make my home feel more like a sacred space. It's kind of like a basic necessity. Also, it helps with the light bill too. For candles in your home, which I suggest anybody should have candles in their home. I would suggest instead of having them on surfaces, you should have them on the floor and have a lot of them. Tea light candles are really good for this if you don't want to go out and spend like $10 for just one candle and putting them in like separate corners of the room. Do it however you'd like, but tea lights are really good for this because they're very cheap and they come in very, very large quantities. So my suggestion for having candles and light on the floor is that not only does it make you feel kind of grounded in your space, but in addition to that grounding feeling, weirdly enough, it kind of makes you feel like you're ascending. The light itself from the floor ascends upward, or it kind of keeps you in this weird space where you feel like you're floating in the night sky. It's a lifted feeling, I've always felt. Positioning of light really does change your perspective on your space. It changes your perspective on just how you see other people. I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of what your face looks like, let's say, whenever the light hits at a certain angle. It can really change the way your facial structure actually looks. So I take that into consideration when it comes to light and light in my home. So having candles on the floor, of course, if you're doing this safely, is a really great way to feel kind of like you're floating, like you're lifted up a little bit, but like I said, also kind of grounded, and a feeling of safety comes from that. Honestly, if I would not run the risk of burning my entire house down, I would just have like thousands of candles and those neon crosses that you see in Romeo and Juliet. I'm talking about the Baz Luhrmann version. Now, candles are great for obviously nighttime. I personally spend a lot of time in my home at night. I like to be active and away from my home during the day, but if you are in your home during the day and you would like a little bit of light action going on, another suggestion would be to hang crystals from your windows, and windows that get a lot of light. So when the sun comes through, there are actually these beautiful refractions that come from this crystal onto your floor and all over your walls. I've always thought that was very beautiful, and you can have a completely empty room and just have that one crystal hanging there, and it just completely changes the feel of the space. And it's a spectacle. It's really quite beautiful to look at. That kind of space is great for if you want to do yoga, or if you just want to read a book, or just kind of look at the refractions on the walls and the floor. That's a fine emotion, if there is anything, what you get from that. If you can get your hands on a disco ball, I know that sounds weird, but if you can, and you just set it on the floor, I've seen this done in interior design frequently. You just set it on the floor by a great light source, and it just reflects light all over the place. It's really quite beautiful. It kind of acts, in addition to that, as like a found object art piece in your home. So one less poster or whatever to buy for your house. Sound, when it comes to your home, is something that cannot be ignored. None of these categories really can be, but sound is a way to kind of take you away. It not only enhances the space, but it also makes your place feel as if it's from another world, you know, ethereal, so to speak. Obviously, like, play whatever music you like, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, if you're trying to create a sensual space, you want to have music that isn't like heavy metal, you know? You want something that's kind of like an instrumental, or of course, I'm always going to be an advocate for classical music, down tempo. I personally love church music. Just make sure that the vocals are soft and quiet if there is any lyrics. Music is just one of these categories too that doesn't rely on the visuals of a space. It kind of takes you out if you don't necessarily like the way that your space looks at the time. Like, let's say you're me and you don't really have a lot of furniture and stuff. Music is a way to kind of create a space without needing visual compensation. Now, sound doesn't just have to be in regards to music. I personally find music in things that are not music at all. And so for this reason, I would suggest that you get bells, like small little bells, like almost bells that you would put on like a cat's collar, and put them on some of your doorknobs. Probably not doorknobs that you use really, really frequently, but like a front door, or maybe the door to a closet or a bathroom or something like that. Just a really unexpected, sweet sound. And it's funny, and I have a reason for suggesting bells, and it's because it reminds me of whenever I went to Mass over the holiday season with my family. And whenever the Eucharist, I'm Roman Catholic, whenever the Eucharist was raised in the air, there was an altar boy off to the side that actually rang bells while it was being raised to kind of make it seem like, you know, this piece of bread, of body is divine. And it's actually funny because for years, whenever I was younger, I actually thought that this sound just came out of nowhere. I literally thought it was God sent. And then years later, I was off to the right a little bit more, and I actually saw the altar boy ringing the bells. But nonetheless, it was still, it was a very moving sound to me to hear that. It definitely evoked the sound of the divine. And it's also, bells are very cheerful and playful, and it kind of strikes a chord in you that's very carefree. They're ephemeral. They don't make sounds for very long. And I just think that feeling should be in your home always. Beaded curtains are also a really great way to do this, I feel, because sounds in your home can also be like kind of textures. They don't actually have to have a musical quality to them, but you can feel your space a little bit more whenever you hear, like, let's say, the beads from the beaded curtains mingling together. And two, every time you pass through a beaded doorway, it's not just that sound, but it's a way to turn that doorway into a more considered and important entryway into your home, especially if you have guests. It's kind of like lifting a veil or pushing a curtain, like a theater curtain, aside. Together, you know, soundscape, I guess, in your home is very important, and it can be a theatrical touch to your home. Smell is instinctual. A place can look like a total dump, but if it smells incredible, it's very easy to forget about your surroundings. I would say if you don't have the money to spend on other things that I'm mentioning, the other categories, this one should be attended to first. And to be honest, just a kind of little intermission here, I don't think any of these categories that I'm mentioning here require a huge bank account. I think that a lot of these can be achieved with little to nothing at all. I've had to achieve them with little to nothing at all. I've never really had tons and tons of money to spend on lavish things. And if I did, it was only for a brief period of time. So a lot of these categories are accommodating for, I'd say, anybody. Anyway, scented candles or incense or resins, cones, whatever you want to use, always have made me feel right at home. But with the right smell or the right type of candle or right type of incense, it can make your home feel sacred, like a sacred domain, like a temple, like a church. It's actually funny because I have incense that smells like an old church. And while I know that's not everyone's thing, it's my thing, but I just obviously associate those smells with the divine, with beauty. And it's made from agar wood. It's very expensive, but it's so worth it. If you spend money on anything, a lot of money on anything, I would say it should be good incense well-made incense, expensive candles. It's always a great gift to give too, as a housewarming gift. And incense and smell in the home in general, it is a ceremonial thing, and it's quite intoxicating. I recommend these smells that I'm going to say in a second, but obviously tailor your scents to your preference. I would say go with tobacco, sandalwood, patchouli, or amber. Those are very warm, confining smells. They kind of swell up the space a little bit more. And especially if you have like a darker interior or if it is nighttime, definitely contributes to a more sensual atmosphere. Amber is included in a lot of candles, but the smell itself comes from a resin, and it's on the pricier side. I've wanted to get it for years, but I just haven't had the money to spend on it. And they come in these little small balls, and they're warmed in their own separate container. And I've been told that the smell is unlike anything else. If you guys have ever had amber resin in your home, please let me know. Describe it to me. I'd love to know what it smells like. I do know, though, that it is very warm and earthy. In cohesion, of course, with the very obvious choice of having candles or incense in your house, cooking food and having food being made in the home and the smells coming from pastries or a delicious dinner is an excellent way to add sensualism to your space. The last category is touch, and an excellent advocate for touch in the home would be somebody that's actually a muse of mine and a great inspiration of mine. Her name is Bethany Vernon. She makes erotic jewelry, and she's a kind of sexual anthropologist. No Carrie Bradshaw. If you go onto her Instagram, you'll see photos from inside her very small Paris apartment, a place where she also holds consultations. So pretty much every inch of her home has a kind of sensual, erotic feel to it, but it's done in a very tasteful way. In an interview, I believe it was actually described as Sado chic. Every inch of that apartment is considered when it comes to touch. She really curated that space. It's like a museum in there. It's a huge inspiration for my home anyway. I mean, you have velvet curtains instead of wallpaper, leather, lacquered woods, peacock feathers, and beautiful soft petaled plants everywhere. Of course, along with the toys and jewelry that are in her collection. And those often have like marabou feathers or dyed hair, very sleek dyed hair. And they're all made with a very shiny, polished silver or gold. Everything, and I believe in the interview they talk about this too, that everything in that apartment is meant to be touched and felt and experienced. So for your home to feel sensual, I would say it's paramount that you keep sensuality, your senses in mind when it comes to choosing furniture, when it comes to decorating your home. It can be a couch, a love seat, a table. It could be the curtains hanging from your windows, your doorknobs or handles on cabinets. If there's really just one moment in a day where you just stop to feel the fabric on your couch or the texture of wood or whatever, I'd say we've achieved something there. So those are the 4 categories. Now, with the slight exception for the light category in certain cases, all of these are considered in a weird way to make your home feel like an experience, to lose yourself in the home, but also kind of take you away from the home in a way. You should kind of be within and without in your space, because we are human beings and we do have these senses, and so we need to use them as a way to transcend them. I've talked about doing this through discipline, let's say, but in this case, it's just choice of your surroundings, how you choose to, if you're into feng shui, for example, how you choose to order your home, how to turn just a regular mundane and functional space into something more meaningful. And like I said, your home is your refuge. It's a place that you should always feel a certain type of comfort. And you should be exposed to beauty all the time. And of course, it's your personal idea of beauty, and you don't have to show it to the outside world if you don't want to. It can be like Fort Knox in your apartment. You don't have to let anybody in there, your home, or you have a room where it's just those things that you hold very dearly, and you don't need to share them with the world. You're not on display necessarily. If you want to and bring other people into that environment, that's wonderful. But it's kind of the beauty of your home, is that it's your choice what's in it, how it looks, and especially how you feel in it. Should always consider your surroundings, consider the material when it comes to trying to access the divine and to find those finer emotions. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you possibly will take some of my advice or my suggestions. Let me know, of course, in the comments. Sorry I haven't been answering comments for a while. I've been super busy, but I'm gonna get to it later this week and answer every single person that has commented on my channel in the past 2 weeks or so. But please leave a comment. Let me know what you do to decorate your home that makes you feel sensual, that makes you feel ethereal, whatever it may be, or just makes your home feel more like a home, makes your home feel like a refuge and a place of beauty. I'd love to hear that from you guys. Please like and subscribe, of course, share this video, and I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.